Rated M for mature.
Miles, you should have just let me fly.
I got this.
This is not how I want to go to the gulag.
I've got this. I'm an excellent pilot.
Just land this thing.
You've got a parachute just in case. Hold on.
We're
Nearly.
gonna be late for COD Pod.
There it is.
Atlas Supermarket, supplying all of Verdansk's needs. This week only, parachutes 50% off. You'd be crazy to miss out on this deal. Use at your own discretion.
To enter, but only one will be victorious. No holds barred gulag action live. Tune in Sunday on Verdansk Channel 8.
Fire in the fire.
Dropping back in, let's go!
Hello and welcome back to the COD Pod, the official Call of Duty podcast. It's been a while, Steph.
It has been a while. We've been busy. You've been traveling all over the world for Call of Duty League. We've been working hard in the, to launch Season 3. Time is almost here. So we had to bring the COD Pod back.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an awesome start to the this season of the CDL Black Ops 6. It's treating us right, but very, very excited to be here. Back with the pod, back here at TV Station, because that's
Welcome
right,
to TV
folks.
Station.
Big Verdansk flavor this episode.
Big Verdansk energy. So we had to take a POI that we know and love and bring it to life for the pod, and it's kind of cozy in here.
Absolutely. It's quite warm as well. We've got a powerful LED screen behind us, which will be displaying all sorts of fun stuff, especially for you listeners.
Yeah,
especially for you
it's
guys.
just for you guys. But we've got a monster of an episode today. We've got lots of guests and some incredible intel on Season 3 of Warzone and Black Ops 6.
Absolutely. Headlines include Verdansk is back, which I am personally very, very excited about. Right back to 2020 we go. We're also going to revisit the origins of Verdansk and how Warzone came to life with Infinity Ward. Some stories from inside the belly of the beast. It's the promise the pod has always offered.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to IW about where this all started, but also talk to Raven and Beenox about how we got here to Season 3 and bringing Verdansk back and some of the incredible work that's been done, some of the exciting gameplay and quality of life changes that are coming to Season 3. And, we're going back to basics, and that is something that is very exciting to me.
Absolutely. Really, really excited to look back and forward. Plus, the mailbag is back. I'm going to put you on the spot, Steph, with some burning questions.
Oh, no.
We've seen it out in the world, to make sure you stick around to the end of the show for those mailbag questions.
And I have props for today's show, so you always know that news is going to hit. Oh, no.
Well, speaking of props, I'm glad you brought this up. At the end of the last episode, the Christmas special, you bought me a gift. I thought it was really, really sweet.
I did.
So what I thought I would do is I would use your staff discount at the COD shop to grab you some sweet gear to celebrate.
Swag.
Yeah, to celebrate the launch of Verdansk.
Amazing.
We got a great sweater here going on. Look, Verdansk.
I love
Take
that.
a trip back
Look,
home.
and Dam on it,
that's
which
your
is-
favorite. You love Dam.
Farmland.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Another absolute treat for the listeners.
I'm taking that home.
Oh, that's the plan, yeah. So that's yours. Hat as well.
Make sure you check out the COD shop.
COD
you
shop.
can get your own Verdansk collection swag.
Available now.
All right, let's get to it.
We're thrilled to welcome in Jack O'Hara and Mark Grigsby, studio heads at Infinity Ward. Gentlemen, welcome to the COD Pod. Very excited to have you here today to reel back the clock, look back at Warzone. Very, very excited. I mean, where did it all start with Verdansk?
I mean, this was a long, long time ago in, 2017? Something like that we started first talking about it. Yeah. And at the time, there was a bunch of games coming out that were kind of big open space, and the genre was kind of taking off. So we that's when we first started having the conversations about it, and a lot of it for us was, how do we go from making these corridor-based shooters almost to this wide open space, and how are we going to get there? So that's kind of where we started, and then it was a long journey of developing the technology to be able to do it, which is always the fun and terrifying thing of, like, you can't play the thing yet, but I promise you it's right there.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
We promise.
Yeah. And so, I remember things like us starting off with the one of the first POIs to be laid out was kind of the Verdansk airport. And then from there, it was like, hey, let's lay this out it works in the tools, but we can't actually see it in game kind of thing, because we were just breaking all the limits to get to where we could actually play in these much bigger, much more open spaces. And then eventually we focused in on an apartment block, and we were like, hey, we're gonna look like what our art fidelity is like in that space, and that was one of our big pushes. And then how are we going to do the kind of more organic terrain all around this? So those were all some of our early gates that we went through, was to kind of prove out these little moments and make little vertical slices of these to kind of show them off.
So let's take a step back. So all the while this is happening, you guys are also actively developing and then shipping Modern Warfare
2019. Yeah,
and you decide, you know what, this game also needs is a battle royale.
We're fine with our game. You know, we need some more, struggles.
This is like a passion project.
Right.
We were actually, very on schedule for 2019. It was one of the more on-time projects, and then we were like, well, let's make this a real challenge.
It wouldn't hurt.
We
ship a battle royale.
Right.
So what was the initial thing that, when you look back at Warzone, when you set out to make it those years before in development, you said, this is what's going to set it apart. This is a Call of Duty battle royale. What was sort of the core DNA you thought about when you started this project?
Well, the gunplay in general needs to be on point from that Call of Duty experience.
Yep.
That was one of the biggest things that we focused on for 2019 Modern Warfare. So that traveling over into the Battle Royale portion, like the guns are just, I still say it to this day, best guns in the industry. And just having that just nonstop throughout the entire process of developing that game was unmatched.
Yeah.
Unmatched.
The feel of the weapons in 2019, in Warzone, definitely like Hall of Fame status for us.
Indeed. I'll pat myself on the back because I was part of it, but no, it was really awesome.
I just got to play it, which I'm also very grateful for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're always looking, like, one, we wanted to be Call of Duty, and then the second thing is we're always looking at, even when we started this, it's like, what is going to be our special version of it? What is going to be special about what we're doing, and what are the elements that are going to make it, resonate with our audience and our players, and how we're going to do that. So that's just a constant debate.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about that is the Gulag, right? Because that was something that we had, that was like the hallmark thing for me the first time I played, was like, wow, there is, this respawn mechanic that's super interesting. How did that enter the conversation?
It was basically like we were all playing these games, and it was these types of games, and one of the most brutal things is you just die and bam, that's it.
It's over.
And I'm back at the main menu, and I'm like, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Like,
how's it going?
Want to play again?
Are you winning? Hurry up and die.
Are you winning, son?
So there's a lot of that going on when we were playing them, and then somebody threw out the idea that we should
give a second chance.
Give a second chance, and it should be mano and mano, like just in the Gulag.
1v1 me.
That's so COD. That's so COD.
And then somebody threw out, I forget who threw out the idea of like, it should just be the original Gulag from the original Modern Warfare. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the spot.
That's the thing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I've heard so much about how this map came to be, and every little tidbit, I'm like, just want to soak it all up. Like, how did it all start?
I mean, it started with that designer just kind of laying out what we couldn't even run, you know what I mean? And it was it started off on the kind of northern end with the airport, and then trying to figure out how the building blocks would work. And then we started throwing in like downtown and just kind of evolving like what is in this space. It was a lot of trying to lay out a holistic map that felt like a real place and had correct transitions between the spaces. That's one of the hardest things I think for us to do.
All the city planning.
Yeah, the city planning, that it's got to make sense. And each area had its kind of unique challenges, from like downtown's density was definitely pushing it. That's why in some places you see like parking lots or little, military storage, is because like that's one building too many. So let's convert that to a parking lot kind of thing. And that's a challenge because then you got to make it look natural.
This is all work that had never been done before on this scale, right?
For us, yeah. I mean, it was just, we'd done it at smaller scales, but doing it at this massive scale for us was definitely new challenges and new limits to be pushed.
In MW19 alone, like Arklov Peak, a big map.
Yeah.
A very, very big map.
Yeah.
By COD standards. But this is next level.
So I have to ask this for both of you. What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite POI? Either like a story from development that you remember. We talked about airport a little bit as one of the first building blocks, but when you look back, or even as a player, like, is there somewhere that you're just like, that's it for me?
As a developer, for me, downtown was really, really cool. It was having some issues when we were developing it for right before we shipped. With like, I think we had a bunch of crashes and some crazy things. So we all for several nights would go and go to like the middle of the downtown and throw grenades to try to find the crash, right? It was wild for like several hours. We're just throwing grenades in the middle, but it gave like awesome memories of like how cool that downtown area was. You would like start at one end and run all the way to the middle and then start throwing grenades.
Jack, what about you?
I mean, definitely downtown, but I can't say it now because he said it.
What are some of, the other things that we should know about the making of downtown?
I mean, we just flew through that plume of smoke, which was a source of great debate because we wanted to show that this city had been hit. And so we wanted to have that big plume of smoke to go through there to kind of draw your eye towards that city center. So, for us, it was like, how do we try and have this city? Because we hadn't really seen cities in this type of game before. So we wanted to make sure that we had one, which was both a technical and a design challenge. And then we wanted to make sure there were landmarks within each one. So we had the bank with the vault inside. We had that big center broadcast tower that was in there. And we also wanted to give the feeling of a city that had this military occupied presence, which is why there's the checkpoints there and the various military portions of it. So there was definitely a lot of conversations on the map design side by the team to just kind of smooth over all those edges of having a city in there.
Well, speaking of other iconic POIs, prison. I mean, this is one of the most recognizable, best POIs on the map. So much action there. What did you guys want out of designing prison specifically?
We wanted a POI that stood out. Like, this is always the thing in BR maps, is trying to make sure that every POI has a personality, has a flavor. And this one has a long history back to Prisoner 627 escaping from here. So a designer threw it in and was like, oh yeah, that nostalgia hits. And then like Griggs was saying, it's kind of like it's this deep well and it's got many layers to it. It's a great place to start the match, but we wanted to make sure you could escape from the sides and get out the back of the prison cell and all those types of things.
So as we look back at some of our favorite moments and memories from Verdansk, do you guys have something, personally or at the studio level that you're super proud of, or you just remember it really fondly as a favorite?
Well, I mean, it's not from Verdansk, but it was from El Mazrah. Where
we're celebrating the whole 5 years
the
of
whole
Warzone.
thing. Yeah, the whole thing. So during the St. Patty's Day event, there was this moment where when you fly in, there's a big rainbow. And at the end of the rainbow is, of course, a pot of gold, which is a bunch of golden loot crates where you just have tons of awesome loot. And in one of those crates was this green sniper gun that was a one-shot kill.
Yeah.
Dude.
And we didn't tell people
when
it launched either.
I didn't even know that they did it until I was at work one day and I was working and I looked and I was watching some dude and he was like, yeah, they got this new one-shot sniper in it. And I was like, oh. And I said, tonight.
Boot up now.
The one-shot sniper. We played that. Oh my God. It was a moment of like flying in there. Hopefully you got the gun. Once you got the gun, you would tell everybody, all right, I got it, I'm going. You'd leave, get far away enough from the mayhem, and then turn around, and then you're sniping every single dude. And it was so good. And if somebody got you, they grabbed the gun, and then they turn around, and you, man, it was one of the best moments I'd had in just the BR or Resurgence in general. Still to this day, I tell them every day, I was like, man, we need to bring back something like that next time. It's so good.
There's always such good holiday like moments in Warzone. I think that's something that when I look back on that I have just loved playing it, but also the LTMs, right? Our limited time modes. when I think back to Verdansk, I'm a massive Armored Royale fan. I just remember getting the squad in the truck, everybody's running launchers, and other seasonal things like the Haunting. Incredible.
Yeah, Haunting's one I'm particularly fond and close to. To me, coming to America and seeing how everybody celebrates Halloween here and goes all out, and that's spreading out to the rest of the world, but it's all out here.
Yeah.
And
Intense here.
it's intense. And that was kind of, to me, it's awesome. And wanting to recreate that in the game during the pandemic was like, hey, we can't go outside to do that, so let's do it inside the game.
Celebrate Halloween here. Yeah.
And even that one at the time, working from home and a smaller team was like we pulled it off, and we were kind of scrappy about what we were going to do in that first Haunting. And then in the second one that we did, where we were able to bring in, fun POIs like the Mummy, the Swamp Monster, the Diablo,
The Butcher.
the Butcher from Diablo, and his arena. It was just, those have always been really fun to make, and it's kind of just like, hey, what's the craziest thing we can do that people can have something different, a little. No, the UFO is one of my personal favorites. And getting when the little alien falls out of it as well, it was just that was golden. But just the sight of that, I remember having that first meeting. It's like we need to part the
Part
water,
the seas.
part
I remember
the seas.
someone
And
being
then-
like, we're parting the
and
seas.
it's just like, oh my god, what do we do? And it's like, and then the artist getting super excited about trying it and having meetings
And the
about
fact that it was
yeah.
still functional too.
Yeah.
You
could get in the
swim
water. Yeah.
jump out,
Yeah.
jump back in, and it was
great.
Yeah, it was good.
It's one of my favorite things to see the players experience all of those things for the first time, and then posting all their videos and their reactions, that kind of stuff. Watching on TikTok when it starts, people starting to find stuff and go crazy. It's,
Technical challenges that existed from building such a big map for the first time at IW. When you look back at some of the challenges that you faced, what were those like, and how did the team come together to kind of make that happen in the end?
there was so many to talk through. But there was the challenges of making the map, running in frame, making it look as good as it can, making sure play visibility
150 players.
is good.
150.
And then after that it was like, hey, we just need to increase the number of
it
players.
started like at 100.
Yeah.
Then 125,
Yeah.
150. It's crazy.
But our very first Battle Royale match was actually played on a completely different map called Ferrida. There was just a little compound in the middle of the desert, and that was like 12 people. And you all started in the circle, and you ran in the middle, tried to grab something and survive. And we were like, oh, there's a glimmer here. It is super fun with our mechanics and our gunplay. And then it was like, okay, but now we need 48 players, and just that is a leap.
48,
beyond.
80, 100, yeah.
64.
And as you go through those, you just hit new problems. You know what I mean? Like, what if 150 players gather in one spot and you got to draw them all on screen? So, we kind of just.
Was there a moment in the studio where everyone, hey, what's going on in that room? I want to get in that game. And you're like, well, give us a mo. We'll increase player count. We'll figure this out.
Well, we play test. We have these pits where we play test almost every day.
Those playtests are wild.
Yeah.
Like I will say this, they're so fun. When you look back at those, what are some of like the best memories you have of those late nights playtesting with the crew and getting everybody together?
Well, I mean, for me, it was the competition that you saw. Like in the beginning, I was terrible at BRs. I'd never played them, but I loved them. I was like, all right, King of the Hill. Okay, cool. That's I'm competitive, right? But the more we got into development, like you started seeing the players that would always like be at the top of the leaderboard. After a while, you started, we would play, and then you're getting better and better, and then you're starting to get into circles where maybe Jack and maybe Nahara would probably be in.
Yeah.
And those were the two that
yeah.
would always be there, right? And then,
Waiting for you.
Waiting for me, right? So got better over time, but, those are really, really fun play tests, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first put in the circle logic, and there was no logic. And so it ended in really strange places. And so I remember having fights that were just in the most bizarre of like final circumstances kind of thing that eventually led us to be like, okay, maybe we should, try and pick better endings for the circle and pre-compute them and that kind of stuff.
Dynamic circles and all that.
Yeah.
So fun.
Sometimes you look at that circle and you think, there's not a lot of cover there. That's a a farm field.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got some concealment of a bush
Yeah.
or two, but like, all right, this is going to be interesting.
Well, you
Yeah.
need the farm so you can loot.
Yeah.
Once it got sweaty in the playtest, and like for example, Final Circle at farm, and everybody's in houses.
In the houses, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of thing. And at first, you know, there was kill streaks, there was no warning of them and that kind of stuff. So you stack kill streaks and then be like prepping them for that moment. Kind of thing. So,
Good times, good times. Speaking of times, though, you build this out, you launch the game in March 2020, and then everything changes. I mean, a literal global pandemic locks everyone indoors.
yep.
Yeah.
You know, it brings everyone together in a really, really sort of weird and challenging way. You've still got to get the game out. What? I mean, how did you launch it?
I mean, it was kind of a crazy
Like
time.
this?
Yeah.
In pajamas.
Right.
I mean, it was a crazy time for everyone, but we quickly got into a rhythm. We would meet every day. We would be talking every day about like, because we'd work during the day and then we'd play at night. So it'd basically be like, you come in the next day, you're like, I played this was not good, this was good. There's these bugs, let's go fix them, let's find the people. And so we were meeting as a team literally every day for like an hour at the end of the day, going through every single item that we had to do to just kind of maintain that communication and that human contact as we were going through the ship. And then it was just kind of even crazier because the game took off, obviously, and then we were
Guess what? Time to support.
time to support. How are we going to update this? How are we
Yeah.
going to keep it fresh
From home and all
those
From
things.
home.
everybody being spread out.
There was no mocap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had to get these new things called Exon suits, where we would send them to the animators to their house, and there's no cameras. They're just the body has all the data.
Interesting.
We would get that, convert that through the mocap crew, and then give that to the animators. It was a wild time.
A lot of new things happening all at once. And then, you know, like you said, that's on the development side, but from a player standpoint, the game takes off, right? And all of a sudden you start to see that in a very challenging time, Warzone is one of the few things that's bringing people together. And it's this source of
Social
networking. And so what was that like to see, you know, on the other side, it's out in the world now, and not only is it doing well, but it's also creating these really amazing moments for players.
I mean, we were living a lot of them with the players.
Right.
And so it kind of felt like we had a purpose to kind of keep it going and make sure it's as smooth as possible. And just because everybody that you'd meet in the game is talking. If you had interactions outside, there was you'd talk to some people and like, I played it every night with my friends, and that's how we keep in touch. So it definitely felt like a Call of Duty to keep it alive.
Same thing.
We could cut it there.
That's it. Ship it. No, I mean, it did bring the world together in a great way.
Yeah.
I mean, I reconnected with friends from school straight away.
I reconnected with
Across the
cats that
planet.
I hadn't talked to in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then we played every single night.
Yeah.
Like, still to this day, 5 years later, we're still playing.
I love that. I think when I think about that too, it's interesting because that was kind of one of the most fun things at the time is everyone was learning and figuring these things out together. Now, someone out there listening is like, I was not trash. Thank you.
I was
I was
killing day one.
Yeah, Jack was not trash. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Can't relate to anything you guys are saying.
But relate.
Everybody was figuring it out
They
and
were,
learning and building these strategies around the circles the more and more time they spent in the game, which
Yeah.
was a really cool sort of like communal moment.
Yeah, it was. I mean, jokes aside, like I think everybody kind of quickly learned, came up with strategies. Like you'd see people repeat those strategies, share them, and all the rest, and then just the level of the player just kind of got raised.
Yeah, ceiling all of a sudden got a lot higher.
Yeah, like I came with knowledge of the map beforehand because I'd played it, kind of thing. So then afterwards, when people got much better, my number
They
of
caught
wins
up.
went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still better than him. But
It
just
must be
not-
it must have been such a cool experience watching players. You know, you've got your baby out there now. It's so big, and watching players, bend it, learn, try their own things out.
Like, how the hell did you figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of times in the early days, we saw somebody pull up on a car on us, and we were like, kill it. And we're like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. And then all of a sudden, like, all right, we need RPGs now. We need C4. We need to figure out a way to deal with
Gotta
this.
put the trophy on
Send the
hood.
charge.
Yeah.
Yes, and we got. It just the game just kept evolving and changing and changing. With you guys, obviously as devs, you're seeing this in a very different way. As fans, we're all just trying to find the cheapest and easiest way to win.
I learned a lot of those, like putting a claymore on the edge of your car hood and then running into people and blowing them up.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I loved the vehicles and just being I was the guy trying to drive inside and get killed by trying to drive the truck, the four-wheel drive inside the buildings. That was 100% me.
It's so exciting. Super excited to drop into season 3, but we can't talk about Warzone. We can't talk about Verdansk without Infinity Ward. So thank you both for being here. We're going to see you hopefully on April 3rd in the map.
Yep.
But thank you both.
No, thank you guys.
Wow,
This
thank you
is
very
good.
much. Really, thank you for coming on. Sharing
This is
some secrets
exciting stuff. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing some of the deep lore of Verdansk that I don't know, you can't get anywhere else.
All right.
All right, well, we've looked back from whence we came, and now all eyes are on Season 3 of Warzone and the new Verdansk, and we're excited to welcome in Pete Actipeace, a game director at Raven, and Etienne Pouliot, a creative director at Beenox. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hey.
Thank you both for joining us on COD Pod. We know you're just, a little bit busy at the moment, but Pete, you are in Wisconsin at Raven, and Etienne, you are all the way in Quebec at Beenox, and your studios have been working together very closely on Season 3 with a lot of the other Call of Duty studios. What has that partnership and process been like?
Yeah, it's really been great working and collaborating with Beenox. We've had this long-standing relationship on Warzone dating all the way back to the classic 2020 experience. We love the energy that Beenox brings to the table, particularly in our play test. They are, so passionate, like we call them demons. They really hit it hard, and we love just working with together on the game.
Yeah, it's really great to work for so long with the team, with everyone inside Activision, just to have that trust, that passion, the mindset to create that Call of Duty Warzone experience that everyone is waiting for with the return of Verdansk. So again, a lot of those people were there back then and 5 years ago when the first version of Verdansk was made. So it's really great to just return to that map, make it better than ever, and just as a team, making sure that this is a great experience for all the player.
It's so cool, guys. A lot of people have waited a long time for this, and we've seen the community talking about it so much over the years. Just bring it back, bring it back. It's that simple, right? That you can just do that, right? We just copy and paste or whatever. Is that what it's been like, Etienne, to bring Verdansk back to life?
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that, but yeah.
Putting it simply, yeah.
Yeah, put it in simply, but yeah, if you look at all the team together, we just rebuilt everything from the ground up from Verdansk. So we always looking back at the original version of Verdansk, but we make sure that all the small detail, we don't forget anything. So the goal we give to the teams is just to improve and to recreate and enhance all the different assets, the terrain, the tree, the sky, the lighting. Everything is really important for them. So we're just making sure that we look at every building, and we're making sure that we remade it to a quality that we've never seen in a Warzone map. So I'm pretty sure that this is clearly the best version of Verdansk, and it will be pretty interesting to follow with all the player with this one.
Overall, what has been the goal for Season 3 of Warzone?
Well, when we started talking about the journey of going back to Verdansk, it was really imperative that we needed to go back to our roots, not only in delivering just on a badass map, but also by returning to form of really what Warzone's Battle Royale really was built upon. So we wanted Battle Royale to feel like Battle Royale did back in 2020, but we really wanted a simplified experience as well, while retaining a lot of the great enhancements to deliver the best Warzone experience possible.
Oh, fantastic. Steph and I were flying over the map on the way here.
We took the helicopter here. I don't know if you guys saw.
We choppered in. The budget for this episode was huge. And it's looking great. It really is, Etienne. Can you tell us what can you tell us about the new Verdansk?
Yeah, so basically we redone everything. So just like I mentioned, the building, the terrain, the lighting, it's really incredible how much detail we can push into the map. And you see all the experience of all the developers from all the studio that we've been in Verdansk and in Warzone for quite some time, already 5 years now. So you see the quality on just the visibility, even the audio side. You really feel that you're back at home, but in a improved home, let's say. So it will be really interesting to just see where the player they will probably go to their favorite spot, and they will rediscover that great map.
So can we expect those POIs to look and feel the same way as they did? Are people going to recognize right where they are, know how to get around a building?
Yeah, totally. So this was the primary goal, just to make sure that we don't break anything, because we know that player love the map, they love the way it was done. So it just where we can push the quality and the visual fidelity, and at the same time, if I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my favorite POI, it's Superstore. So we're just making sure that all the different spots that you love, that you use to get a kill on the others, another squad team, so you can return to the same spot and have the same strategy, and at the same time you will learn to love that map again, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of new player will be inside Verdansk for the first time, so it would be pretty interesting to follow.
Amazing. I mean, I know the first place that I'm dropping is the little fire station above Dam. Like Dam in general, big place for me, but specifically that little fire, I think it's a fire station up on top of the hill there.
Yeah,
special place always, in my heart.
Yeah, it's always depending. If you're looking for some adrenaline at the beginning of the game, you can choose some of the POI that are pretty exciting, like Superstore. But on my end, if I want to be more in control, I will go to military base, or maybe even Boneyard. I really love the feeling of that POI. So that's a nice place.
Okay, so we know Etienne is hot dropping. Pete, where are you landing first time out?
Oh man, like Superstore is great, but I'm a little bit more risk adverse. So I probably, typically I'm used to drop at Quarry or Promenade West or even train station. I like those areas because you can get mixy if you really want to. There's a good amount of loot, good amount of cover. Contracts are always fun to do in those areas, and they have good rotation spots, depending where the circle's going.
Quick shout out to Farmland. I think it's underrated. Miles?
I had an incredible win at Farmland once. I had a precision airstrike that cut across like 2 squads at once, yeah. Something that I know I'm dying to get my hands on are some of the new weapons that are coming in Season 3. Pete, it's cool. We're going to get some of the original guns from Warzone's launch on Verdansk, and there's some definite fan favorites returning. Can you let us know what they are, sir?
Absolutely. The classic Verdansk experience wouldn't be the same without bringing back a few iconic weapons. So we're excited to say that for Season 3, we've rebuilt some of these awesome weapons from that classic era. The AMAX, the Kilo, the HDR are all coming back for Verdansk. It's great having these familiar guns back. If you recall, the AMAX had a little bit of a kick, but if you could control it, it's extremely lethal. The Kilo is a great all-around assault rifle. I loved using the Kilo back in the day, but really my favorite weapon of that era was using the HDR. I'm happy to say that if you really can pull it off, you can knock somebody from like 500 meters plus away. That just feels so great.
It's back.
Yeah. And don't forget the Kali stick too. It was one of the weapons that was pretty iconic from Season 3, and I think they will be back, so a lot of players will be waiting for those, and I think we have some in the studios. On my side, my weapon is always the Kilo, so I think it's one of the reasons that so many players decided to have a great time and great memory with that weapon. So we're bringing it back. And on my side, again, I'm a big sniper lover with the HDR, but I don't have the skill to get a shot to someone, so I always return to my Kilo to make sure that I have a chance to win.
Old Faithful. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Kilo later in the show, but something I remember really fondly, speaking of favorite weapons about Verdansk, was very clean iron sights. And I think, we all know and loved them in the original experience, which means I have to talk about the Grau, which is coming to Season 3, but in a different way, and that's as a conversion kit for the SWAT 5.56. So if you haven't played Warzone in a long time, we introduced conversion kits in MW3, and it's actually a firing mod that you're going to be able to equip that will change the performance of the SWAT to feel a lot like the original Grau. Pete, what's this been like in playtests? I know people are going to be curious.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Just because it's like a conversion on a gun doesn't mean it's any lesser of a gun. The Grau is back, and we are so happy to be playing with it in the playtest. It's been a real big hit in our internal playtest. It's highly accurate. It's very familiar to how it performed back in its prime. And like you mentioned, like those iron sights are pretty awesome. They are very rad. Really, when we talked about bringing these weapons back, we wanted to pay homage, really wanted to make these returning weapons feel as good as possible. So we felt that, and we wanted to make sure that we really paid that off for our fans and players.
I can't wait.
Needle iron sight.
Cannot
So
wait for
much fun
Growl.
to use. Felt so great. Kilo 1-for-1 fan here, born and bred. But guys, let's talk a little bit about these weapons if we can, because we saw on social media floating on the weekend that floating loot is back.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
Well, floating loot was something that our community wanted, and we really felt that it was a great time to bring it back. We wanted to simplify the experience, right? And floating loot is a part of that. And it behaves just like it did back in 2020. So you'll see ground loot, be floating in the world. If you open up a crate, that will pop out and float. You take down an enemy, all their loot will be floating around for you to kind of go and hover over. So it's made the looting experience much more intuitive and just kind of much simpler. And we really think it's been playing well.
And the guitar riff is back, I understand.
Legendary crates, folks. We need to work on that a little bit, but
Definitely have to work on that.
Yeah, the legendary crates are back. Now, one thing about legendary crates, we really wanted to make these special. And so what we're doing is there's going to be less of them in the world than maybe what you'd experience in today's game, more reminiscent of the classic 2020 experience. But we've juiced up the loot in the legendary crates to really, really make them feel impactful and make you feel special when you find one in the world.
Now, Pete, there are some updates coming to movement in Season 3 of Warzone. What can players expect to feel?
Yeah, so when Verdansk returns, players are going to experience an updated movement system built just for Warzone. Omni movement isn't going away, right? So we do want to prioritize the Battle Royale experience, and we want to ensure that movement feels right in Warzone. So the bespoke changes and simplified movement is going to really improve upon the original experience.
And so we're getting a version of Omni movement that's been specifically tuned just for Warzone and maybe feels a little bit closer to the original movement.
Absolutely. We love the predictability in the combat scenarios with movement. We still want to give you all of the agency that Omni movement brings you, but the tuning, again, is going to be unique just for Warzone.
A single game of Warzone felt so particular, the way that how long the match went for, the pace of the game. I mean, what can you share with us around how it feels again?
Pacing is an incredibly important part of the Battle Royale experience. So in Season 3, we're working to deliver a simplified version of what is closer to the original experience. Risk versus reward is such a huge and important part of that experience. Your life, your actions, strategies, all should matter. Part of that comes from what tools you have at your disposal or what ways you can regain, including how you loot.
As you look to sort of, get back to the original experience, prioritize Battle Royale, simplify, what we're doing in Warzone, I have to ask, are any of the original contracts coming back as well?
Yes, all of the original contracts are back. So that means a classic Recon's back. And if you don't remember what that was,
Nice.
This is going to be replacing the Intel contract. And so what I loved about the Recon contract was you still have a lot of player agency when setting off the recon point. So you just walk up to it, it fires off a flare, and then, alerting teams that someone's setting something off, but you can move around and fight in that moment. The cool thing here is the more players, teammates you have here that are helping you take over that point, the faster that point is captured. We've made an enhancement this year to the classic version is now that when you're starting to capture the point, you're actually going to get to see a radius in the match. To let you know where the area of influence is there. And the other one that is a classic contract is the supply run. And this was great because this awards a discounted item from the buy station.
Yeah.
So if you were in dire straits coming back from the gulag, you could land on one of the contracts and hop in a vehicle and head towards a marked buy station, risking it all to kind of bring back a teammate for free. It really was very, very cool. And all of the other classic contracts are there, like Scavenger, that's tuned the way the original one was. Bounty's there, and the Most Wanted is as well.
Awesome. So bespoke movement coming to Warzone. And Etienne, is this something that you guys were considering when making, updates to the map and how players traverse the new Verdansk as well?
Yeah, we make sure we play every day. So it's really important, and we play every day the live version of Warzone, and we play every day the development version. So we just make sure that all the tweaks, all the decisions that been making is to make sure that you will have the most fun inside that map. And even if you're an old player, you will get a sense of, oh, this is Warzone, this is the experience that I want to play. And for newcomer, again, it will be a way to just making sure you will learn the mechanic of the game, and after that you will learn the POI to make sure you can understand and take advantage of the situation, and maybe you won a match. So again, a lot of iteration, a lot of effort to everyone in all the different teams, just to make sure we have the best version of Verdansk and Warzone for all of you in Season 3.
It sounds very cool. Sounds like a lot of work as well. Like a lot of
They've been busy.
Gosh,
They've been everybody's been working hard on this for a while.
It sounds great. Verdansk, obviously, a lot of my core memories around the game mode centered around vehicles, whether I was crashing helicopters in prison or, using ATVs. They're very important, very fun. I've heard there's some favorites coming back in Season 3. Can you share any information there?
Yeah, so listen, the classic BR experience had an art form towards rotating around the map. And so vehicles played such an important role in that. Now, one thing I want to clarify is we're removing redeploy balloons in Battle Royale, so we can put the strategy back in traveling around the map and using vehicles or using movement, your player movement in an intelligent kind of way. And so
they're going to be more important than ever. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? And so the only way to make them as impactful as they needed to be was to completely rebalance the handling and like how damage worked to vehicles. So vehicle control and maneuverability is more like it was back in 2020. So there's been a lot of updates to like the weight simulation and the physics, which allows for like smoother turns and like better off-roading. It's a higher fidelity version of what you remember from the classic experience from the vehicles. And really, Verdansk wouldn't be Verdansk. I mean, you mentioned going to prison and all that stuff. You wouldn't be able to really have that moment without the classic helicopter, and it's coming back, right? And so it's not just the model that's coming back. Our aim was really to bring back the classic feeling of that helicopter. We really wanted to be reminiscent of like all the cool key moments that you could experience back then. I can't wait to see clips of like people swapping seats and like sniping somebody or, chopping somebody up with the blades or even like chucking the helicopter out to take out a squad.
And let it be known, I nearly did make it through the tunnel. I got right to the very end before the blades hit. I remember there was a period of time where if you didn't have a teammate with C4 or an RPG, you were in serious danger.
That was
serious danger.
I remember throwing the trophy in between the seats of the helicopter and just like thinking,
we're safe.
It might work.
It did work.
Sometimes it worked.
It did work.
Sometimes. But so that's so exciting. And Etienne, how did you guys think about vehicles in terms of placement on the new Verdansk?
Yeah, so it was really important for us to just look at the spawn location from back then and making sure that we're going to use all the same spawn location for vehicle type. So if you look at the LE at downtown or cargo truck near the stadium, I was always the driver on my squad, so I was
everyone
always
needs one.
Looking. Yeah, I was looking because I'm not a good shooter, so I was the one driving the whole team. And I just remember so many great games that we are in the cargo truck and we just chase other team and we just try to ram them. But sometimes it doesn't work, but it was always a fun time. So again, we're just making sure like buy station, loot crate, everything. We're just looking back at spawn position from back then, making sure that we nail those. And after that, we just, like Pete mentioned, we just do some tweaking and ending, making sure that everyone has a fun time.
So excited.
Awesome.
So excited for the cargo truck. So excited.
Birth is back.
Now, okay, so we know patch notes for Season 3. They're coming together and they are going to be meaty this season. But we've heard there's some really exciting quality of life changes that are coming as part of that to Warzone. Can you give us a little sneak peek of some of the quality of life updates that you're looking forward to?
I think that if you want to read all the different patch notes, you will need to take the whole night
Set
because
some time
there's
aside.
a ton of Yeah, it will be a ton of fun just to read those. So, but yeah, we need to make some choice. And for me, one of the quality of life improvement we have for season 3 is the opportunity to, when you're going to inspect a weapon, you will see the attachment that is present on the weapon. So many time I kill someone, I take his gun as a trophy, and I wanted to understand what is on that thing. And now it will be possible with just the weapon and spec animation. You will clearly see in your URI what is present, and after that you can replicate that strategy on your own weapon. So that's something pretty cool. And just to give another example of a quality of life that will be present in season 3, we're going to give more information on the field upgrade that your own squad mate have. So it will
cool.
be a great strategic choice just to understand what you have in your team, and after that make the next move on your opponent. And I think, Pete, that you have other quality of life that you are waiting for.
Yeah, there's a couple. I'm going to cheat and give you a couple here. So one thing that we're really excited about is we're updating it's kind of like a quality of life update, but it's really something to help either new players or kind of players that haven't played for a little bit of time. So we're updating our default loadouts to be able to include a very competitive kilo and HDR. So if you're new to the game or you don't want to level the weapon up, you're going to be able to, once you acquire your loadout, you're going to be able to kind of go right in and play with one of those two weapons and have a great time, see if that's the style of weapon you like. But the other kind of quality of life update that we're really excited about is, going to the buy station is really a risk, right? Especially deeper into the match. And the last thing you want to do in these critical moments is fumble around the UI when you're trying to buy somebody or something. And so, first of all, we're reverting back to the vertical UI buy station, just like in the classic Verdansk days, because muscle memory is important. Buying your teammates, those are important too, right? And so what we've done is we've added a dedicated button just for buying your teammates back if they're dead, right? So let's just say you're playing in a quads and your whole team is dead. If you have enough cash, with one button click, you're going to be able to bring all 3 back. But let's say you only have enough money for 1 or 2 teammates. Well, this quality of life is going to be able to bring back as many teammates as possible. We have way more quality of lives coming, but we're really putting the player experience at heart when we're considering all these quality of life changes. We always listen to feedback, and we're always going to evolve the experience.
Incredible. So updated buy station UI is vertical. We've got the redeploy all feature coming in the buy station, make it easier for you to buy your squad mates back. Very cool.
But if I don't want to buy the entire squad, but just buy 1 or 2 members of the squad back because someone might not be pulling their weight, that's possible too, right?
Absolutely. You can manually go over to the side without,
very important.
Leave out whoever you want, just because.
Thank you very much, sir. That is extremely important information for me to have. Thank you.
He's not talking about me.
Nope. They know who they are, and they listen.
Well, there's so much information coming up about Warzone, about Season 3. We've got brand new COD blogs coming with all the intel, patch notes, so much more. I can't wait.
It's a lot. Pete, Etienne, what are you guys most excited for? I mean, obviously, you've been on this a lot more than most, but what are you most excited for in Season 3?
Yeah, I think that I'm just excited that we give back that map that everyone is waiting for. So we put so much energy and effort just to make it feel right, play right. So it will be really an interesting moment to see all the players coming back and having a great time in this Call of Duty Warzone experience. So the journey will continue.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, right? We're just as excited to play on Verdansk in the live environment, just like everyone else is. And so really for us, for me at least, it's I can't wait to see the reactions, the clips, all the fun moments, people trying to recreate those moments. We're going to do our best as a team to continue working on Call of Duty Warzone and making this a great journey for players to come. So this is just the beginning, and we're really excited to see where this goes from here.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here in the COD Pod, and we will see you in Verdansk.
Thank you. See you
Thank you.
in Verdansk. Miles, it's been an awesome day hearing from all our developers, but there's a few things we haven't talked about yet, and that is Black Ops 6 multiplayer and zombies. And breaking news. We're going to drop Season 3 of Black Ops 6 one day early on April 2nd. And if you don't own Black Ops 6, don't worry, because we'll have a free trial for you to jump into during that time. Warzone is going to go offline for 24 hours in preparation for the launch of Verdansk on April 3rd. And anyone who opens the Warzone menu during that time will receive the Kilo weapon for free. So if you already have Warzone downloaded, just click on the tile once it goes offline to get the Kilo. But if you don't have Warzone downloaded, then make sure you do that. Then open the menu so you can get the Kilo too. And trust me, you are definitely going to want the Kilo for Season 3. So Miles, you know the drill.
Absolutely. Every single game I load up, everyone will be using the Kilo because you need to get it ranked up in time for Verdansk coming by,
It is
folks.
very fun.
It's going to be a ton of fun. That's right. Time to level up that bad boy and get everything ready for dropping into Verdansk on April 3rd. So yeah, pop a double XP, whatever you need to do, spend the time.
Get those attachments, you know?
Yeah, get it all ranked up, get it ready to go because everyone's going to use it. Steph, it's that time in the show. The mailbag is back, and I have got some heaters for you. But actually, first, before we do get into the mailbag, Jack talking about Easter eggs and if there are any out there. What about Area 99?
I mean, funny you mentioned that because it's almost like if there were an Easter egg on Area 99, then no one's found it yet.
Yeah.
Just
if there were an Easter egg on Area 99,
to think
no
about.
one's found it yet. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, we've got some really fun mailbag questions this time around.
And I think I have some exciting answers from all of the Call of Duty teams. So let's get to it.
Cut to the chase. It's a big one. Is Warzone ranked coming to Verdansk?
Yes. Ranked play is coming to Verdansk, but not at the launch of Season 3. It will arrive instead at Season 3 Reloaded. And that's because we want to make sure that people have a chance to get used to the map again. If you're a returning player, great, but there's also new players playing Verdansk for the first time. Ranked play has never been on Verdansk. You know, back when in the original, it was not there. And so we want to make sure that the map is feeling great. People have their bearings. The developers can work to make any adjustments between the launch of 3 and Season 3 Reloaded. And then ranked play will arrive on Verdansk.
Next question, moving over to zombies. Hey, Treyarch, are the amalgams going in the new map?
So, if you've been paying attention, you may have seen last week that Treyarch was putting out some fun social teases about the new map, which is Shattered Veil, arriving with Season 3. And someone said, hey, what about all those amalgams? You know, we had them way back in Terminus. Are they coming to the new map? And Treyarch replied with a simple nope.
Awesome.
Period.
Done.
So I will also reply with a nope. And the zombies team at Treyarch, you know, this is all because they pay very close attention to the feedback about all of the familiar types of special and elite enemies coming after players, you know, especially recently on the Tomb. And they've taken that to heart for Shattered Veil. So no amalgams. But you are going to see a preview of what is waiting for you in the mansion in tomorrow's gameplay trailer. So stay tuned.
How big is the next zombies map going to be then?
This is a little bit of a don't believe everything you read on the internet moment.
What do you mean by that?
Staggering. Who would have thunk? But I have it on good authority from the team at Treyarch that Shattered Veil is in fact bigger than the Tomb and Liberty Falls. So think size-wise, more of a traditional round-based experience like Citadel. I think is a good size comparison.
Awesome.
For Shattered Veil.
Awesome. Very much fun size, but not fun size. Cool. Right on. I've got another zombies question, got another one. Can we get some info on the next perk, please?
You sure can, partner. Because we'll find out tomorrow.
I've got questions. I've got a lot, but I have another one. On to multiplayer. Why is the party games menu not in Black Ops 6 yet? I want my beloved sharpshooter back.
So good news now that Infected, Prop Hunt, and Gun Game are all in Black Ops 6. Season 3 sure sounds like the right time to add a dedicated party games menu. So, and also the second part of that question, I'd say it's your lucky day tomorrow.
Partner.
Stay tuned.
Excellent. Next question. We've heard a lot about Ricochet updates coming to Season 3. Can you talk about them, Steph?
So Team Ricochet is preparing to drop a blog with all the information about Season 3 and what's coming. So stay tuned a little bit closer to launch and make sure you read the blog.
Last questions. Will there be updates to Verdansk in the future?
I can confirm that the studios and teams working on Warzone are committed to evolving the map with new content and updates in future seasons. And that's all I'm going to say.
Can he wait? Can he wait? Well, as always, folks, we hope you share questions with us on social media using hashtag CODPod so we can talk about them on the next episode.
Send them in.
Yeah, make sure you're following the CODPod on all the places where you get your podcasts. And in this episode was a lot of information.
A lot of info.
It was a lot of info.
Yeah.
It was a good one. It's good to be back. And personally, I'm going to use nearly all of it to prep for Season 3. I can't retain it all.
We're going to be ready. We're so ready.
I'm going to rewatch the episode, quite frankly. But I cannot wait to jump back into Warzone, and it's going to be a great time.
I can't wait to drive the cargo truck around with a trophy system on the hood. That is what I'm looking forward to most. The cool Verdansk breeze in my hair. But there's so much coming to Season 3. New multiplayer maps. We just mentioned Shattered Veil, the brand new round-based zombies map coming. And I know we've got lots of events coming up this season as well. And now Black Ops 6 Season 3 coming one day early on April 2nd. So make sure you jump in, grind those weapons.
Get that Kilo 141 up, because you're going to need it. You're really going to need it. Wow, so good. But that's it for us here on episode 5 of the COD Pod. We'll be back with another episode soon. But for now, we're signing off live from Verdansk at TV Station. We'll see you in Season 3 soon.
Breaking news.
150 operators have been seen in the skies above Verdansk. Their motives unknown. All they want to do is loot and kill. The weather is clear.
Personally, I just want to loot. Looters can't loot.